sir. All right, let's get the desk out of here, Matt. We'll jump into this game because I think that this is something really worth a look in. If the Florida Mayhem want to have any hope of being you know, part of the field at the end of this season, Paris has helped them out here. Paris fails to win that series. Paris don't clinch those play-in spots. It's still open. Some of these conditions have been met for the Mayhem, but they have to win out here.
That's what's wild is Florida still is alive. They still have like a little bit of a pulse going on here as we get towards the end of the season when they've had like a ridiculous losing streak. That is really it's unfortunate because you look at this roster and this is not a losing roster. Although this season has not gone the way of the Florida Mayhem, like they have talent like the Justice do. It's just been like really bad losing streaks, not being able to put like things together teamwork wise. It's just been a little bit of a mess at times. But man, you look at this roster, Slime, Gangnam, I mean everybody like top to bottom has so much talent.
Yeah, and Slime's obviously had to pick up the brig for this meta as well, and has looked quite good on it. OG looks, I think I said it, he looks revitalized, coming back into this roster, playing a bunch of that Wrecking Ball. Even before he departed, the Wrecking Ball that he played this season had earned him like a top 4, 5 spot in the power rankings. So, you know, he was a really big factor. Obviously, the question about OG is whether it's consistency, because that's something that the Florida Mayhem have sorely lacked this season. That and the fact that knockout games don't give you any elite points kind of hurts them as well. But you know, finding a consistent trend, the only places they've really found those are in players like Yaki and Gargoyle, who've consistently been dominant presences on this roster.
It's been so odd. I mean, think back to the May Melee. This is a team that at the beginning of our season looked like they were primed to, you know, make runs in North America and, you know, make trips to Hawaii and, you know, contend at the end of the season for the playoffs. And they just kind of like fell off after that. That was really like the peak of their season. The Outlaws, they've been good throughout. 10-4 right now. But they have not made it to Hawaii once. Yeah, they have not made it to any of like the final tournaments. They've been consistent throughout the year. I know, really. I mean, well, like you kind of like it's like losing like a game, a tournament, right?
Yep.
You have Jake in now. You can play the brig as he's kind of turned into a support this season. Without Lucio, that's like Juby's like main, you know, support hero. You don't really need him as much in the lineup. Like Jake can play some of the other stuff. And that's really kind of the only change you're having here, right? You know, maybe Junggu or Dreamer, depending on what the tank situation would have been, but it'll be Junggu here today.
I mean, put this in perspective. In the last 3 matches for the Outlaws, they've had half of their regular season losses. You know, before that, they're 2 losses to their name. They have to go, like, I mean, in order, they have to go up against the Dallas Fuel, then against the Justice, which they win that one comfortably, and then the Atlanta Reign, who just look to be on another level right now. So it's been a tough run for the Outlaws at this tail end of the regular season, but they're locked for play-ins. They're looking pretty good, and this is where they can continue to hone that fine edge. The Mayhem don't have this margin of error. They need to get it right now. It has to be right yesterday for this Florida team. I would say, like, we've seen Yaki on the Hangzhou a little bit lately as well, Matt. I thought that looked really good. We saw him on Route 66, which we will see again today if that one comes up. And he has some really nice plays, right? Some really big Dragon Strikes on Blizzard World. You know, Blizzard World and Route 66 are 2 maps that feature in this pool, but before we get there, it's Busan for our control map.
And I mean, you look at the Florida Mayhem, right, at 5-9. You know, you kind of take that brutal stretch of the season and, you know, maybe that, you know, 0-4 stretch, and you have that be like a 500 type of scenario, right? You're right at where the Paris Eternal are at. This is a game to potentially pass the Paris Eternal. So, really, their loss record may have been skewed by just that long period of time, right? Where maybe this team can hit some of those peaks here towards the end of the season. It might be unfortunate because it might be too late. So we'll see the Florida Mayhem here, you know, potentially run this composition. You know, maybe we have VQB not play the Hangzhou here. Hangzhou is, though, a viable pick.
I want everyone to just, maybe if we get to see that Tracer play at some point, watch how the flanking routes are contested. Dante lost the Tracer matchup terribly against Pelican in their match against the Atlanta Reign. He could not flank, he could not work these off angles at all, and now he's going from Pelican to Yaki. That is a brutal gauntlet of top Tracer players you have to run through, and Yaki has the highest solo kills in the league right now, I'm pretty sure. He's so good at controlling those flanking routes.
Oh, yeah, but look at this. It's going to be the Outlaws getting 3 kills straight off the rip. Yaki was deep putting in pressure, but it did not matter. The Outlaws just kind of pushed right on through. And with that Zarya damage, Dante was able to get one as well. And you kind of mentioned, you know, going from Pelican to Yaki. There's really not that many easy Tracer battles in the league anymore. You know, I mean, every game it feels like there's just
it's the same as flexible
unbelievable,
matchups.
yeah, an unbelievable Tracer matchup.
I like the double bubble look here from the Outlaws. So the Florida Mayhem, again, they're still adapting what we saw from Philadelphia over in the eastern region. It's Wrecking Ball Zarya set up. Jungkook goes down early on in the fight here. BQB's on the Hangzhou this time around, and he catches Dante. Yaki has to know now that once he has this health pack, he can sort of pick and choose target. He's got a pulse bomb available as well, so there's a lot to do, but the Mayhem needs to get to work on capping this point. And Jake on the brig might be a mild issue for Yaki to get through first. Great stun, 180 there. But no follow-up on the Tracer.
They nano the Sombra to touch the point here as Happy comes back onto the Sombra. This will be a point flip for the Florida Mayhem, so they get control of the point, but they're all so low. So this is going to be a flip right back in favor of Houston.
And I love, okay, so I actually like nanoing the Sombra here. There's no good nano outlets really outside of Jungkook, who's not a factor in this fight. He does first, right? But Happy switches to Sombra a little late. You want to get him in a position where that EMP can still be a factor. So nano him, let him play more aggressively to build that ultimate faster.
Well, you already have Primal, right? And you already have Rally. So, yeah, I mean, if you're going to nano, you can nano Dante, right? But, yeah, you build up a little bit closer towards that EMP straight away as the Outlaw's going to get up above 70%. This is BQB slept, so he got slept and then hit it with a biotic grenade and taken out really fast.
Nice follow-up there from Jungkook, and Happy did reveal himself in the backline, but all this did was cause the Mayhem to double down on the whole, go back in the direction of spawn plan. He still has an EMP to use. He just needs to make sure he's not too close to Jake. Gargoyle and Gangnam didn't caught with that one. Perfect execution and follow-up on the EMP. You get the backline plus the Zarya.
And this is what I expected from the Outlaws, to just see a much better team in terms of coordination and what they want to play. And at least here on the first point, you are seeing that, and then some, as OG trying to get a touch on the point. He'll get hacked, just trying to stay alive with anything necessary.
Jake is a casualty here, but it shouldn't phase the Outlaws too much. They have a Graviton Surge from Piggy. All right, back over towards that doorway, and Jungkook has a Primal Rage to make it impossible for the Mayhem to contest with more than one player at a time. And this is Dante's element now. He gets a bunch of 1v1s. God, he's pleased about that. OG from the high ground can't do anything. And that is the round. Pretty, like you said, convincing stuff from the Outlaws here, early at least.
I mean, it's 9% for the Florida Mayhem. Essentially, that is, you know, a 100-0. They just got a
flip, like a brief,
for like a very small period of time. Yeah, really brief flip. As looks like we have a pause here. Figure out what's going on in just a sec. But the Outlaws looking good today.
Yeah, look, I mean, we definitely had questions about whether, you know, the Winston play would still be a factor if they kept trying to, you know, get Jungkook's Wrecking Ball going. We saw that from Houston in the past, and I think it looked okay. I don't think anyone really had any issues with it. I just find it very fascinating how, you know, teams have slowly iterated back towards, at least on maps like this, the Ana and the Zarya, right? There's nothing quite as pleasing to the eye or as a team to be able to get your ultimate cycling well, right? Your Winston's constantly enabled to do work. You're obviously going to be nanoing the Winston in this composition, unless, for example, Happy's touching the point with nano and building up a quick EMP here, but it lets you probably play some of your best looks, right? Piggy on the Zarya, actually pretty nasty. Obviously, his Sigma, not an option right now, otherwise he'd probably be right there. Dante's Tracer has looked good. You know, he hasn't been taking fights with Yaki, so that first map, Mecha Base, didn't really see the Tracers competing for flanking routes and for those off angles so much. It was really who could have a greater impact on the enemy backline first, and that is sometimes the case. The Tracers just sort of bypass one another. But again, like the Mayhem are also pretty well positioned here, right? They definitely need to get as much as they can out of BQB here because he'll be playing the Hangzhou or the hit scan on maps like this.
Right, and we saw him play the Hangzhou, we saw him play the Kree, and then we also now have seen him play the Sombra. So what will they go with to try and stop what the Outlaws are kind of putting into play? Didn't seem like they had the answer. He was getting a few picks on the Hangzhou, but nothing really you want to say meaningful or impactful that could like turn the tide in fights, right? It was pretty much just like a stray kill here and there. You know, it's also if they play something that's a little bit less mobile, you're going to have another easy dive target, which it seems the Outlaws are executing well on today.
Yeah, I mean, they were on top of BQB whenever they could be, right? The sleep dart connecting at long range, and then, you know, Jungwoo jumping on top. I think that early Hangzhou kill that happened about midway through the round on Mecha Base was a foreshadowing, but also a part of the capitulation for the Mayhem, you know, on that round. Not being able to... Then, because you don't have control of the point, right? So your Hangzhou needs to go the really long way around, put himself in a position where, you know, Dante, for example, can find him very easily, harass him, force him out of safe off angles. I mean, BKB Sombra's always been excellent, been really, really good. So we may get to see it here now as the Mayhem might change tack to go for a Sombra Tracer look themselves.
Yep, so we'll get right back into the game as we're on pause, so you take a look. Another replay here. This is going to be the EMP from Happy.
Yeah, you don't really get any time. Excuse me, sorry. You get any time to respond to that there. The Mayhem I don't think it's a Mayhem problem. I think it might actually be that our observer, or the Mayhem had the wrong Mayhem skin on. The McDonald's.
It's Throwback Day. Throwbacks.
Oh,
Bring
wow.
it back.
Okay.
Damn.
Well, raise your burger flippers, ladies and gentlemen. Here come the Mayhem.
It's Florida Mayhem Day at the virtual arena.
If I'm not mistaken, this is on OBS side, so I'm not too sure. Either way, the throwback. This is This is a throwback to the inflatable palm tree getting carried out onto the stage and the dancing walkouts, Matthew. What a feeling! This is the swoosh era.
It's not a throwback. They probably, you know, it's okay to throw back the jerseys, just not the gameplay. It's it's gonna be the Outlaws. You take the first point here.
You don't always want to roll back the years, yeah.
No. Don't always want to roll back. I'm sure the Outlaws would not want to roll back the years either. They're playing quite good right now. But you see BQB go over to the Sombra. Happy on the Widowmaker. So the Widow is not something we see a lot at all here. But no, it's easy to pick off, you know, characters like a Zen, you know, put some damage down onto a Yaki, and Happy, one of the better Widowmakers we have in the Overwatch League, so.
BKB forcing Dante away for the time being. He just wanted his health pack. Dante. Okay, forced to translocate. Interesting. This creates space now for Dante, as this is now a non-contested territory. Knows where the Wrecking Ball is. Pressure on OG will be great. This means that Happy doesn't have to worry about it, as he's got a very safe position as well. How long until OG realizes where this Widow is, and how long until they respond is the question. Happy on the Widow is always a treat.
And with the infrasight, you know exactly where BQB is the entire time, right? So not surprising anybody with the angles that he's coming with. Gangnam Jin takes out 2. Is this enough, though? You just have Yaki and Gangnam Jin there.
Yeah, I don't think Dante realized that he'd walked past Yaki on his right as he went for Gangnam Jin. So a little bit of a miscalculation there, and Gangnam Jin got a bit of damage, gave a good account of himself, and Yaki was there to finish the job. Still, good stall from Jungwoo, though. That's going to make it 80%, but the power of McDonald overcomes them.
So, we'll see now if the Florida Mayhem can hold. EMP available, Transcendence as well. A nice Transcendence there from Crimso, though. He doesn't get caught by it. Yeah, that is elite.
Just some sick awareness from this guy. Follows it up with a lot of damage on the OG. Assisted with the Discord Orb, and Happy takes a reasonably friendly angle. Going to be a recall here from Yaki, but Dante knows exactly where he went to. Tries to finish the job, but Junko has to come to his rescue as well by the looks of things. This fight is far from done here. BKB on the point there. I think he tried to hack Dante, who turned around quickly and answered. There it is, picking with 2. What a big bomb! Slam and Gangnam Jin. You can't ask for much more than that. Happy might not be able to win out this 1v1 as Yaki does what Yaki does best. But with Gargoyle picked up, should be an Outlaws capture.
Yeah, just 3 players alive now for the Florida Mayhem. This will flip over towards Houston. So they're trying to chase out Yaki as he's already used recall and he's getting quite low.
Yeah, he's out of the picture now. The Outlaws in control, and this puts the Mayhem in a position to group for 99% fight.
you know where BQB is as well, as you see he has to translocate.
Oh, we can't get there, Matthew. And that's rough stuff for the Florida Mayhem. Despite the heroics of Yaki looking quite good, the Outlaws look really well drilled. They look comfortable playing this setup. Happy gets to play a little bit of Widowmaker and doesn't look to appreciably hurt the Outlaws, but most importantly, Dante is able to have a big impact on this Tracer. Shut down against Atlanta. Now he gets to get out there and get the job done. And the Outlaws look pretty confident.
Yeah, I thought Happy played really well in the Sombra, and then even bringing out the Widowmaker there, and fantastic support play from Crimso, being able to get the Transcendence when they needed it. Houston looked good in that first map.
Stick around, everybody. We got another map to come, but the Outlaws look to be starting this one off for a quick finish. If you're a Mayhem fan, you're going to hope that they can dig in and find something else.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
game right now. We have to go. Come on, come on. Come on, checkmate. Out of set. We gotta go. Come on. Injury. Swing team win.
We are game now! Wake up, Yaki! Okay, gargoyle, just gargoyle, just gargoyle. Gargoyle? Gargoyle! Have you been in here practicing this whole time? Okay, come on, we gotta go, let's go. Okay, get in formation, everybody.
Finally, nerds, it is time to crown the MVP of the 2021 season. You, the feds, yeah, you're going to help us decide who takes the title home this year. Head over to overwatchleague.com/MVP to see the candidates, mold about the ones that aren't there, and learn how you can cast your vote. Matt, I don't think I've ever seen a more hotly contested MVP conversation. This year is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough to decide. So many players have had such, big years in terms of play. Obviously, some teams at the top, but then also a lot of players who have kind of, been right underneath those teams that have propelled them upwards. So we did have the Outlaws win map number 1. A vast first day on the job, bringing back the old throwback yellow and reds.
The McDonald's. I love it, bro.
I wonder who a Vast booked for the halftime performance at Mayhem.
Right, if it ain't Swoosh turning up with Vic carrying an actual pine tree, then I don't want to know about it. I want Mineral to just take off his Boston, coat, put back the main one on there. Zebasai red in the face after he had chili peppers. Give me them season 1 memes, baby.
We joke as well. But it just also goes to show how far the Mayhem organization has come. That, they had a lot of roster turnover, and then eventually, BQB's been on the roster. I think he actually played with the Yellows. He was on
it was
the team with
in
the
the Messiah era, exactly.
But still, to be able to remake the roster in the fashion that they have over the last few seasons, been really impressive.
Look, this team does really well with some scouting from teams that are looking good in Apex or Korean competitors, right? They take the WGS armament look of Korean and Gargoyle. Obviously the former doesn't really stick on this roster, but Gargoyle develops into an incredible player. Gangnam Jin was obviously really hyped up from Runaway. You built this team where, and I think this team has always been looking for that solid main tank position. Fate obviously is considered now a really consistent, stable main tank player, but during the Mayhem era, it wasn't so much the case, right? The teams didn't gel maybe nearly as well around him. Again, I think Florida is still looking for stability in that main tank position. I don't think that, that's facetious to say, even now with OG looking much improved after a break. The fact that there has to be a break at all is, where the concern comes from. On the other side, Matt, this looks like Houston are really sort of righting themselves after looking a little bit shaky over the last few weeks. If that map's anything to go on, looks like they've worked out all the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, we'll see if they can keep it going, though. As Florida, BQB just kind of looking here. I don't know what maybe he's looking for a far up in the sky, or maybe a Widowmaker jump shot there. But they will play the Hangzhou Tracer composition. So we've seen a few teams today already run this. So are they really? Is he going to go back to the spawn and swamp? No, he's gonna stay on the Hangzhou. Just taking a little bit long to develop here as they get through the choke.
Happy gets to look down his nose at them from his ivory tower. Crimzo goes down first though. BQB just picks him out. Nicely done, but Jungkook's in a great position to punish that shield. He gets a lot of value out of it. Even with the Discord Orb on him, he's able to find a kill. But still shaky stuff for Houston. I wonder how they stall things out now. They're going to have to if they want their Winston to come back. It's going to be a lot slower than a Wrecking Ball rolling back to the spawn.
It's going to be harder as well because they don't have a Diva mech here too. So who is going to be able to stand on the point and last long enough as Jungle will come back. They're trying to put up, so they put enough pressure on the supports to draw them off the point, but it's going to be BQB takes out Dante. Yeah, this is all going to fall apart.
I mean, Yakiv's surprised that top knot is still intact actually because he looks like a Bushi that just swore his vows for revenge. Sick play from him. Crimzo
like
just jumps over and says, I never mind.
What was that?
So the Bushi were obviously samurai, all warriors of the Shogunate era, and they would actually cut off their top knots as a sign of, well, I mean, some of them, I think it was normally as an oath, a vow, you see. It was, I think it was, like their top note was a sign of office or
I feel like this is going to take too long for you to explain to me.
I mean, I just said that. Yeah, it is. But Weaves get it. Weaves get it because it features in like every shonen anime ever. So. But I mean, look at his hair. Like, what's going on here? Is he a troll dog? Is he Johnny Bravo? Is he a samurai?
I like it. He's got that little top on. It's cool.
Right, after I butchered some really interesting history, Yaki finds a pulse bomb. No connection, almost takes himself down to it there. It was a matter of seconds that would have been the end of him. Junggu here with the nano boost. He's found his way in. Monkey amongst the pigeons. Job done for Outlaws on defense.
Yeah, the nano and the primal while the rally's going off. He's able to like kind of bully Slime on top and then BQB there as well. So maybe you didn't need to kind of stack them on top of each other. Maybe you could have actually just used the nano and then the primal after. But still big damage that comes in from Junggu as the Outlaws finally get a hold. This this may be where the Winston becomes a little bit more beneficial on defense as opposed to playing a ball composition. So we see the Outlaws now with control of the packs be able to use a EMP here coming up next.
Now the Outlaws want to try and get some of these ultimates cycling a little bit. Close to, of course, a Graviton Surge. Crimzo can absolutely build an ultimate in the space of one engagement. That is not out of the question. Matt, it's the Mayhem that's sort of lack on those support ults that maybe should be a bit more concerning to them, but how do the Outlaws get information here? Oh, they've got Happy behind, so he sees everything. Okay, Crimzo dead to randomly to Hanzo again!
I think they're waiting to try and get a bunch of players onto the point or somewhere to land a big EMP.
It's bizarre, you know, Crimzo normally has very like a good stun, but Dante still gets the kill. Really safe positioning normally. That's a nasty Dragon Strike. Really great foresight there to catch two players inside of it, but it's not enough on its own yet here. The Mayhem move up onto the point. Noji finishes the job. He rolls in. Crimzo again is removed, and I'm sorry, but Crimzo gets bullied in that round, and it hurts the Outlaws.
Yeah, they swap up the unis and they bounce back. You know, 3 minutes plus on the clock. They did a nice job of attacking there in terms of not putting themselves in position to really allow Happy to get a huge EMP. Like, he got an EMP, and then a few players on Houston just kind of fell right after. Just, he had to hold on to it so long, just never gave them an opportunity to land a big one.
I've got to know. I'm very curious what Crimzo hates Hanzo. Yeah. I've got to wonder. So, because, I mean, he should have known. I mean, all the Outlaws should have known where all of Florida were, because Happy was behind them. So I wonder what it is that BQB is doing that is allowing him to consistently find the most valuable target by a country mile and just shoot his head off. It's crazy stuff. I mean, the Mayhem there, you can't ask for anything more from Hanzo. Like, that is really what he's designed to do in a nutshell, right? Let's see what he does here. Christ sake.
I mean, that is...
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Twice in a row. Lets you win team. I mean,
Piggy.
You know, Jake is the one that's molding there, by the way, because he's looking forwards. Yeah. His shield is turned perpendicular, so there's nothing to stop those arrows.
Do the Outlaws play Yaki trying to just get some damage down on the Junggu? Do you eventually, like, Outlaws maybe kind of consider have to play the Wrecking Ball, as we're still kind of going for these Winston-based setup, but that is a fast kill on a Gangnam Jin.
Nicely done there by Crimzo. Sets that up beautifully. No, I don't think they will. I don't think this team wants to play Wrecking Ball at all. I think Junggu is the better Wrecking Ball out of their main tank players. Right? I don't think Dreamer comes to do that. I think they're staying on the Winston right now, especially with this kind of setup, right? Defensive Bionic Grenade had to be used there, but it won't save Crimzo from the Pulse Bomb. This time he's picked off in more conventional manner. Yaki's able to get the finish off here. This is just pretty gross. Quick couple of kills from him, and BQB finds Junggu with the Storm Arrows. Jake has to respect this from across the map.
The DPS. Oh my. The Florida Mayhem just do so much work there. BQB was kind of had so much pressure from Junggu in his face. You know, Gargoyle goes down on the high ground. Gargoyle over to Diva now, coming back. But BQB able to get up some kills. Yaki with a big pulse bomb, able to deal with Crimzo. Allows Florida to get back to the point without giving up any percentage.
Dragon Strike there. I think that forced Crimzo out of position for a moment, but Junker already gets into the backline with a nano. This is about as much as you can hope for. I think maybe staying alive there would have been ideal, but you got both supports. And as long as that Wrecking Ball gets cleaned up, yeah. Look who's waiting for him up on the high ground. Yaki down to Happy. Nicely done by the Outlaws. They pretty clean execution here of a fairly standard setup.
Once he gets both supports, I think Jungkook, there's no point to pop the Primal and try and stay alive there. You secure the point, 5 minutes plus, rally, grab, EMP with a Pulse Bomb. Really good combination of ultimates here with no Transcendence on the other side. For the Outlaws, this had an even better time.
All right, Houston, they're definitely in, well and truly in form when it comes to this ult cycling. Translocates out for Happy, who has an EMP. So he'll have to sort of re-establish himself once more. You can see he's trying to do that, sneaking on in. Wasn't revealed by Gargoyle there. Dante playing the off angle. He might just converge here with Happy. He's looking a bit deeper. He had eyes for the backline there, but he won't reach it. Gargoyle protects against him. BQB, though, looks like a foray towards the backline of the Outlaws ends in disaster for him. Yaki has to blink away outside of that hack, but at least the pack still hacked from there. It's a great sleep dart. Just brilliant stuff there from Crimzo. Nothing Yaki could have done but sit on his own pulse bomb and hatch it like an egg. Here comes the pulse here from Dante. Dropped it in on Sly and the Transcendence was there. Oh, that gets my blood pumping. A bit of flex support play. You'd love to see it. BKB that comes out onto the point. He's got a Harmony Orb on him, but he'll be spotted pretty quickly now. And it's all fall apart for the Florida Mayhem. They needed Yaki to be a factor here. EMP onto Yaki and OG. Yaki just cannot get away. Can't blink, can't do anything. Self-destruct here. This is a little risky for the Outlaws, especially with the displacement of the Wrecking Ball, but they survived the blast. And Piggy's charged up. He's now a real threat in terms of that DPS, and yeah, Gargoyle cannot hang around while he is just pounding that damage in.
Yeah, and just the players getting hacked left and right as they try and come in for the Florida Mayhem. Doji hit with a Biotic Grenade, a rally going off now here for the Houston Outlaws. Gangnam Jin gets one, but it's not going to be enough. The Outlaws finish the map.
Identical time!
Yeah. It's wild.
Score.
Piggy and
brutal stuff there.
Insane.
I mean, if there's a team that's going to give you something to look at in all chat, it's probably the Houston Outlaws. I mean, with Jake at the helm, he loves a bit of that. He indulged in it pretty heavily during his last year's talent takedown, I think. Always a fan of it.
I don't remember last year's.
No.
Jake wasn't even on my team, right?
No, I don't know, Matt. Yeah. You were so invisible in that match, right?
I was popping off. I'm not even sure you played.
Okay, mate. Ask Hex.
What?
Crimzo gets a big sleep dart there, I think, and yeah, that's really where it all goes wrong. Look at this. Is this predictive?
He hits one on a BQB. So this is the one that's on the Yaki. He also hits one onto BQB on the Sombra as he goes to get the point and ends up ruining his opportunity to contest. But big plays by Crimzo, not just in this series. He's had a fantastic season. Really a bright spot for the Outlaws.
Yep. And he's a great example of a player who was really green in his first showing for Team Canada, for example, right? Played a lot in Tier 2. His potential was identified and invested in, and now he's just a monster. Just, I don't know. Definitely one of my favorite flex supports to watch.
Last year obviously with the Dallas Fuel, but even the year before that, I think a lot of people were surprised he didn't even get a shot in the league, right?
Yeah. Yeah, there were a lot of people. His name was definitely brought up by many.
It was definitely, I was almost expected he would be, but he just never did, which was so unfortunate. You see, he can already prove he's that good of a player. Gangnam Jin, though, takes out Happy right off the rip. Now
all that is in our play.
You lose a lot of your engage, yeah.
Junker can't be healed up quickly enough here, I don't think. Yeah, but not with the Discord orb on him. Great early burst damage. Gangnam Jin really leading the way with these Discord applications. Losing BQB furrows the brow, I'll be honest. Especially with the respawn advantage. I wonder what Yaki's looking for. Okay, you just pressure down on Crimzo here. You don't need a pulse. Florida have made this a long fight. That suits them well.
Both teams are all over the place. I mean, Jake's in Darnia over there. Somehow ends up wrapping all the way through the point, like goes all the way over the other side. And the worst part is you lose Happy twice in quick succession, so you don't have an opportunity to even build towards that EMP significantly. But positive here is that you can actually get this Nano. So Nano potentially on a Jungkook. We've seen the Nano Piggy. I think the Nano onto the Winston going in makes the most sense.
Big stick, Transcendence had to be used there. Maybe a little bit less than ideal timing for the Mayhem, but Gangnam Jin was definitely going to use that in this fight anyway. The Mayhem probably trying to group up towards that low room, and they do a great job of it. Everyone is in position, even though the fight's broken down so much, and Jungkook needs to be very careful. There's a hacked Mega Health Pack. He stood on that and got everything back. Gargoyle trying to Graviton Surge him, but Jungkook pretty pleased to get at least the trade. He does not expect the minefield, though, to be quite as nasty as it is. That's one tick and counting. Make it two. Or not quite. No, the Brick's going to be in play. The rally's there, and Happy gets the EMP off. OG's also slept, so, I mean, great utility use for the Outlaws, but they just don't have the players to follow up on any of it anymore. And that's all Houston are going to have. 61.7% on point A.
Still pretty good percentage there for the Houston Outlaws. What ends up, the Dragon actually puts Slime in a position where it splits Piggy off alone. And Piggy has the grab at that point. Just Slime with the rally just gets in his face. Just like, you know, mauls him in the corner there and kills him. So no opportunity to get the grab off there for the Outlaws, which could have been, you know, one of the big plays on the point. I also think that, you know, Jungkook potentially could have actually tried to go for the Primal to stay alive, like when that minefield comes down. Just didn't have enough time to get it off.
His face looks like he wasn't ready for that. I don't think he really even expected the minefield to materialize where it did. Regardless, the Outlaws are at least in the position where it's more than one tick that the Mayhem need to gain. I mean, you're going up against a team that has BQB playing like a pick-centric hero, Yaki on the Tracer, just fight, like solo kill king, and then Gangnam Jin, who looks really, really good and very deadly on the Zenyatta today. The Outlaws can't give too much space to this team, mate. They're going to have to fight for this choke doggedly.
Yeah, I think, though, if you're the Outlaws, right? If Happy can stay alive here for a little bit, build towards that EMP, you have a lot of win which you feel really good about. They just cannot allow, like, BQB or Yaki or even Gangnam Jin to get one of these early long-range hits. That's really everything starts to fall apart then.
Crimzo on high alert. Suffice to say, the last thing he wants to do is die so cheaply to a Hanzo across the map. All right, Piggy pretty charged up here after using Jungkook as a damage absorption tool. And again, they can't heal Jungkook up quickly enough. Again, he just gets blown up. That's the Discord orb they're contending with. Great pile driver there. Just holds Piggy aloft for long enough to turn him into a pincushion. Jake looking worse for wear as well. And now we've already one tick. The Florida Mayhem are going to make this a little dangerous for the Outlaws. Happy's been spotted and discorded. Who's going to stay on the point? That's the big question. Piggy's now gone, so your only option is Jungkook, who gets discorded already. And no one's looking at Yaki. No one has the bandwidth to deal with the threat of this Tracer, and so one by one, the dominoes fall by his hand. Pulse Bomb doesn't connect, but it doesn't have to. Pretty solid stuff from the Florida Mayhem to take away Volskaya Industries.
And I think that's where you see the downsides of trying to play the Winston. Now Piggy trying to hold on to these Aria bubbles to help Jungkook with those discords, but just not able to do it long enough to where he's able to live. Really punishing Jungkook for not playing the Wrecking Ball here. And I wonder if it's something Houston's gonna have to seriously look at the rest of the series. They haven't done it thus far.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an area of further study for us, right? See what the Outlaws do. If they keep the Winston, let's see how it helps or hinders them and how the Florida Mayhem play around that. Florida look good, bounce back from a lackluster map number 1. A lot of high-flying DPS plays in this series so far. I expect to see more of them in map 3 after the break. And here's something new for you. The Overwatch League skins from the past seasons have returned. Now's your chance to get one of your favorite previous legendary skins that came out alongside the league. The vault is open for through August 24th, I think, and skins can be redeemed for 200 league tokens. That's the going rate, which can be earned, of course, by linking your account on YouTube. Look down below the player. If it says connected, then you're in luck and you're getting tokens. Allegedly. Matt, I strongly recommend the Zen Narc skin. That one's a perler.
Yeah, I already got that one.
Oh,
I just didn't have the goat bring one. That's the one that I didn't have.
Oh, I snapped the one.
I got it.
Quick.
I got it. Yeah, I got it. So now I don't have to worry. Maybe we opened the vault a little bit too much, bringing back the yellow Mayhems.
Yeah, I mean, we really rolled back the years.
People started running out of the vault like the Florida.
It's like
Mayhem
people that want to
skins
experience their
reappeared.
20s, and we roll back to like when they're getting bullied in middle school
like,
instead.
Like Scott, trying to re-experience his 20s.
All right. Okay, so both of these teams, of course.
I don't even think Scott's out of his 20s. I think he's somewhere around like.
He's definitely like 27, isn't he? Something like that.
Sounds about right.
I mean, the more he works with us, the older he's going to look. You know that, right? He's just going to.
Well, he either gets
make him
played like one or two ways, right? Like he moves closer to us, in which he becomes like older than his age, or he moves closer towards Brent and Josh, where he just stays like 18 or 19 forever and just.
What would you rather, Matthew?
Me? I like being boring.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm fine being boring. I got nothing wrong with it.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's just, well, you're not on an entertainment product. Otherwise, that would be kind of a weird...
Right. Well, I'm entertaining on here, but then once I get off of here, I'm just really boring.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the clarification. Wasn't quite sure. Hey, yo, Blizzard World. Yeah. These guys never lost against the Mayhem. Again, don't know how much that means. The last time these two teams play, I want to say it was week 6 of this year. Which was a resounding victory for the Outlaws.
How do you get all these? How do you get all these stats? It's almost like they pop up on the screen.
Yeah, but sometimes people don't read them. Sometimes people are too interested in like trying to find out if you were ever interesting or if you were always boring. So if they're not looking at the screen, I've just got to, reiterate it.
Sometimes we have too much fun.
Oh,
Jake's not having much fun though. He just gets domed walking out of the spawn.
Get in all chat. You know you want to, Jake.
You won't.
All right. Well, so BKB not actually even playing the high ground, right? He finds that pick sort of just around a statue. He can transition seamlessly between the two. He'll continue to be a problem. Hey, look, he's been so good on this map lately.
It's Hangzhou. He's like, you get hit with those stray arrows so much sometimes, and just being a threat, right? Of having it just adds like an extra second of caution, like moving through the chokes, like whether you're like, a Crimzo or Jake. Really, I mean, even the DPS as well. Like, one shot takes you out.
Dante hit with a stun there, but there's just too much going on that the Mayhem can't turn around and deal with him. Forces him away and allows everyone's attention to be focused on getting rid of Jungkook. And that definitely makes the Outlaws look pretty winded, because this is what happens. Fight breaks down. They can now go after Crimzo, and there's no Lucio here, so no one's disengaging. Jake knows it's forward or down. Or both.
As it seems like now Florida has gotten a grasp of playing against this Winston-based comp. And honestly, you kind of look back to the first map, which is Busan, and maybe you kind of look at that and say like, yeah, Busan's actually a pretty decent Winston map. You can play a lot of Winston, whether it be on like Mecha base or, in the Sanctuary, the city, right? We can get there, but you can play a lot of Winston-based comps on that, where now it becomes a little bit harder as the series moves on.
Yeah, maybe that's the weakness that the Mayhem can exploit from here on out. Definitely feels like they're uncomfortable with the Hangzhou. And the Dragon Strike probably doesn't make you feel much better about their current circumstances either, but no one falls foul of it in this occasion. Yaki knows exactly where the Outlaws are going though. He's got a Pulse Bomb. Crimson trying to find Jungkook before he can think about healing him. And that Pulse Bomb doesn't connect, so the Outlaws have been able to outmaneuver. Now it's time though to see if the hammer hits the anvil properly.
So the Transcendence comes out. Happy can wait this out and then EMP, but now that you've lost Crimzo, do you decide to do it? Oh, and it actually looks like Jin's not hit by it, but still they might be able to turn this, the Outlaws.
Yaki killed the backline. He just solo killed the backline. Yeah, look, he can't even believe it. What he's done is like, his hands are so hot, he's melting his bloody peripherals. Ridiculous. I mean, while all that's happening, the Transcendence is in play, yada yada. Yeah, Yaki's just killing people.
And if you're OG in this composition, like playing against what the Outlaws have, you're not worried at all. Like a manual hack, right? Let's say even if they biotic you, you have a bubble to work with. They don't have a ton of burst damage to be able to take you down. Florida Mayhem coming in with a much better composition, at least for the last 2 maps.
This is looking rough for the Outlaws. I mean, they don't even have grab advantage. Gargoyle gets caught in one. Does he fire one off him? He does. He fires off his own grab there. Okay, well, pretty bad fight from the Mayhem, to be fair. That grab doesn't really get used well at all. Nice job by Piggy there. Gets 2 in the 1. And I actually think that grab, from Gargoyle caught BQ... no, sorry, yeah. I mean, BQB got caught on the point by Piggy's grab, I think. Sucked into the wall.
Yeah, and then for the Gargoyle grab that goes out, it actually connected with Piggy and Jake. So those are the 2 players that it got connected with. Still a good hold for the Florida Mayhem on this first point. You see Jungkook losing some health there. It's a nice squib shot there by Jake. See Happy just so weak, has to translocate. Does not want to risk it here against BQB, but what do? How do you challenge him up on that high ground?
You don't have a lot of tools to do it with right now, frankly. OG is a minefield, so I imagine he'll try and return to the fight soon. Jungkook Nano, where do you go with it? He doesn't know where to go with this.
Well, he gets discorded and just knocked down, and there's nobody, like, who else can access the high ground with him?
Man. Yeah, if you're the only target, the Mayhem can see, you're dead instantly. You really have to pressure them a little bit more, and a Winston out in the open. I mean, Junkie knows. He's probably been there before. Nano's not going to save him against like Discord plus Storm Arrow plus the Zen damage.
He is constantly discorded. There's not a time where the Discord is not on him. That just connects with Slime.
I think Gunnan saw the Sombra come up on that left-hand side, so he was ready. I think he backed away inside. Perfect. The Outlaws really not be able to find too much success with this composition so far, and I mean, that's a brutal way to end the team fight.
Oddly enough, how would you feel if Happy played the Hangzhou here for the Outlaws? Like, that gives him, like, he can obviously access some high ground, gives him a combination with, like, a grab, dragon combo, gives him a little bit more burst damage to maybe kind of scare off, like, an OG if he gets biotic grenaded, and you can finish him off. Might offer a little bit more than the Sombra currently, because the EMPs are not really becoming big factors.
That pulse bomb just got turned into charge, I think, for Gargoyle. Jungkook point up.
Yeah, and I believe they used the nano on him as well, and he had primal that he didn't end up using.
I mean, I think he died too quickly for him to realize what really happened there. So the Outlaws win that fight, but I mean, they have to spend almost everything, right? That Jungkook there. They have no choice, Matthew. And the Mayhem walk back in here probably with the grab, but not much else. So it's possible the Outlaws can keep this going.
And you're going to have an EMP for the Outlaws, so you're definitely in a spot to keep this one going.
BQB accosted briefly. Happy pulls the plug pretty quickly, though. Wrecking ball on the car, and it's going to be a defensive biotic grenade to keep Piggy nice and topped up. I mean, BQB wants a bit of space, but he doesn't have much to work with right now. OG hacked, slept, hacked again. And the cart gets along the line. So that's 2 checkpoints now for the Outlaws, Matthew.
Here comes Gangnam Jin.
Here he comes. There he goes.
A little bit of a sideshow transcendence there, bringing up, showing up to the party a bit late.
That would be relevant if the guy played support at all ever.
Now you start to get into it. Like, this is where the Outlaws are trying to, like, roll some of these ultimate combos together. Which really, though, like, if you're Florida Mayhem, you still probably stay on this and continue to do what you're doing, because really, you're just losing that one fight that's turning the tide. You're really dominating everything else. You just have an extra ultimate for that fight. You probably win that one as well.
Jungkook's in a great spot here. A lot of support there from Piggy, but that projector barrier wasn't quite enough. quite the skirmish here. The Outlaws don't really have the players that they need to keep pushing this. I can't see what's behind them. Okay, so Crimzo's at the bottom left of screen here. They can do this. Piggy's also doing a great job just breaking line of sight and maintaining that Zarya charge. I think he has to go first here if the Mayhem want to deal with the Outlaws. He's hitting hard.
And you're going to have a rally here from Slime as they jump right on top of BQB. So they realize if they get BQB out of the way with that Hangzhou, they can start taking advantage.
This is a good look for the Outlaws. They just keep the gameplay free-flowing. It's a dynamic game state, right? The Mayhem can't ever really get 6 players back in position. They don't have the time to regroup. That space keeps getting taken away from them. Yaki gets a pulse on Jake, though. Jake tries to get in his face, and then, well, he finds out. Should be okay for the Outlaws here, though. Transcendence, okay, still going to be a factor. It looked like Gangnam was knocked back briefly by the Primal Rage, but the EMP gets held onto by Happy for after that ultimate. Good sequencing there. That's the Outlaws definitely doing their due diligence. With OG falling, that's going to be the round. The Outlaws will get it done.
It looked like Yaki was trying to put some pressure on Crimzo there at the end, but Crimzo able to defend himself. So that's actually a huge comeback there for the Outlaws. Did not look good for them. Really, at all. It was really Florida Mayhem dominating, but then just, they come up with these one fight wins, where they're able to kind of dump all their ultimates in and come out on top, and those conveniently are enough to get them done with where they are on the map. So, let's see what the Houston Outlaws come out with on defense. There's not really, if this is like, if they're going to play the Winston, there's not much variation they can do off of it.
Ready for battle.
No. So that's going to be the case here. I think that Widow switch before, to defend point B is always a little bit awkward. In fact, it was the Mayhem that did it last week. I think Yaki was the one switching it. It just... By that point, you're playing against a team who's just taking so much space away from you that, to try and get a good angle without a Winston just headbutting you is pretty difficult to do. And then that's where the snowball really begins, right? The Outlaws have a composition that wants to snowball because they'll, at all times in that scenario, they'll always have either a nano boost or a primal or a grab. One of those 3 ultimates is normally going to be in play once the game has gotten into that sort of chaos. Any of them can end a fight, and that's what the Outlaws did over and over again.
Yaki just gonna look in, firing some shots, maybe.
That's where Happy often stands.
Yeah. All right, so we've seen this kind of dance before with these 2 teams, with these 2 compositions. We'll see if the offensive nature of Florida's really gives the Outlaws some trouble. I don't know how the Outlaws going to dive on to this Florida Mayhem composition. I think it's too much damage. Yeah.
This BQB is eventually going to find something. Even a Sonic Arrow from that angle is very powerful. Yaki knows sort of how he needs to approach the point here to sort of have an opportunity to have a half a second of just him and another support player and pick them up. So there's that dive that we said needed to happen, right? Shut down BQB's angles a little bit, force him out of position, get in his face, shield bash him. All those are great things. They get rid of Gangnam Jim as well. And the Outlaws have to be proactive here, Matthew.
Yeah, when that dive comes in, the Discord moved 3 or 4 times during that, just trying to figure out who they wanted to attack. First it was Dante, then Jonggu coming in, and then they went back to Dante, where he never really did enough damage on anybody. So Yaki's been working on that pulse bomb, farming behind. So he'll be back in this next fight, coming from the backside, so coming from the defender's point of view. So Happy could go for a manual hack here, maybe try and finish off the Zen.
Maybe just spray damage at the back line and try and keep Slime busy so Junggu can dive without getting CC'd into next Tuesday. So Yaki's in the back line. The Outlaws know this, but again, that's that proactiveness. BQB goes down early, so now the fight can take a little longer for the Outlaws. That's fine. Hangzhou's not going to be a problem picking people off randomly. Look at the Outlaws. Look at them building this ult bank now. All the important ones, right?
Well, and look at the Florida Mayhem. Not really building at all. 60% to Dragon, 68% to Grab. Not really close to these big game-changing ults. That'll be a nano on a Jonggu as he goes in.
I love that look. Again, Jonggu well positioned here just to be impossible to kill. OG's able to find Jake, and obviously there's no taxiing back here in this kind of hero pool, but Yaki, I think Junker knew there was no recall there at this point for Yaki, not this late in the fight anyway. Great stuff. They burnt, look, 2.5 minutes, and they still have Grav Primals there as well. Rally and play for the Outlaws. They'll have to contend with the Transcendence aggression, but it's a good spot to be in.
And you're still 20 off a Grav and Dragon. It's a tough spot to be in if you're the Florida Mayhem. It'll be OG who goes to the point to touch. Big pulse bomb there from Yaki, though. I mean, Piggy's got that grab.
I think that was the worst possible situation for the Outlaws. The grab was going to be their stall mechanic, their team fight win prospect. Junku and Piggy, the only ones with ultimates. Yeah, they're the ones that both died. Just get off the point and give it up.
You lost your Primal to stall, and you lose your grab, which is
just awful.
Which is, and that gives Florida Mayhem the point without having to really use, you know, the Dragon, which they use right now. Transcendence here used by Gangnam Jin to kind of counter Piggy's grab. As now the Outlaws are forced to kind of like push into the Mayhem spawn, and that is not working out.
Yeah, that was a late grab by Gargoyle, and for BQB, he just stands still and just he just holds mouse one. Nice job there. There's a lot of back and forth here between Gargoyle and Piggy, by the way. I don't read Korean, but Piggy said in Volskaya, don't try and grab me, Gargoyle. So plenty of back and forth here, but for the Florida Mayhem, like that's just, they've shattered the Outlaws' resolve after they had such a good point A hold. Let's see how this went down.
Yeah, we can take a look at this. From BQB's POV. Oh, they're just shots right, dead into the grab.
Jungu is, again, experiencing that familiar sensation of not being able to be out in the open at all lest he dies. Junky's hacked, but very sluggish in the follow-up with the Outlaws, and with this EMP in play now, OG and Gargoyle can't do too much. Yaki hoping to keep some tabs on backliners here. With Junky going down after the EMP, this is a great sign for Florida. Dragon Strike rips on through. Yaki's in a position, he sticks the pulse to Jake, and this is great. This is good action here for the Florida Mayhem. Gargoyle also very charged up, and Piggy falls. And this will really help them pad out a time bank that got really stretched on point A. There'll be some stall here. I think it's probably just Jungu at this point, and he's done.
All right, 3 minutes on the clock here for the Florida Mayhem, and look at this. They're going to try and take out some of these players. Getting this close spawn. For a second there, I thought maybe OG was going to go with the mines, but it seemed like he didn't get as far on the roll as he would have liked, as not able to just get the pile driver onto the support. So back to the cart, get an orb. This will build up ult on Gangnam Jin. So it's going to be 2 picks here, maybe 3 for the Outlaws. So that'll stop any type of push from the Mayhem.
And they don't need to go for more, right? They know that, you know, if the Mayhem put them in a compromising scenario, which they may, there'll be the contingency plan of the Primal Rage available for Jungu, and Crimson will absolutely build Nano. So the Outlaws can... Oh, okay, nicely done. Great whip shot from Jake there. That means the mines don't get dispersed exactly where OG wanted them, actually. A little bit further back than he would have liked. But look at this. Look who's ready to catch Jungu as he comes down. It's not exactly the fireman's trampoline that he was hoping for. No, it was the enemy. Straight into the gaping maw of the Mayhem. And there's a pulse bomb thrown in. A Graviton Surge comes a little late and allows Piggy to secure Slime. This fire's now going to break down into chaos here as Yaki is going to have to try and do it himself.
Yeah, you saw the Tracer and the Sombra here is happy he'll end up getting his EMP out of this, and you lose OG. So even with all those ultimates dumped in from the Florida Mayhem, not able to come out on top. Now the Outlaws, they're going to have an EMP for this next fight. That should be a definite fight win.
Again, BQB just finding a kill out of thin air. It materializes onto the kill feed. And the Transcendence got forced. Dante doesn't need to worry about the pulse bomb here. That's a good result for the Outlaws, who start the fight at a player disadvantage and lack the tools to deal with the Tracer until he really returns. It buys some time, but they can't move, so maybe no time board at all, really. The Outlaws have just had to give up a little bit of space. There's EMP. Pulse follow-up. Okay, it's going to be there. It has to be traded, though. Happy gets blown up in the immediate aftermath of the EMP, but the effects linger, and that's what Dante's looking to try and take advantage of here. Piggy also walks in there and deals with Gargoyle, but OG's riding this one home, and the Outlaws are in a bit of a weird spot. They're kind of trapped inside this room, man. They can't get back to the cart. This could be quite dangerous. The saving grace is that OG has to walk off the cart to do this.
Yeah, so you're not getting any cart progress right now, and they're not able to finish off Piggy and Happy, so you don't like stagger anybody out. So So everybody will be back at full strength pretty much for this next fight. You'll have a nano boost available here. This is most likely going to go on to Chengdu to build up that Primal Rage.
25 seconds left, and again, Jake, the first casualty in this fight. Dante fares a little better, so it's up to Chengdu to make ends meet with this Primal Rage. By ends meeting, I mean the skulls of the Florida Mayhem. He has to get out. Again, he kind of realizes a good sense of discipline about Chengdu. Knows that he's in danger, but I mean, against Yaki, he's hoping on that mega health pack. It just doesn't come up quickly enough. 4 seconds left now. The Mayhem looking to be able to finish here in time as well. It will be an overtime though. Stick here onto the brig. That'll end it. That'll be 1 extra minute for both of these teams. It doesn't get much closer than this, Matthew.
Both teams extremely even here. I will say, I think though that in like a sudden death type of overtime like this, I actually would probably favor the Florida Mayhem in terms of what they're playing compositionally. I think with the Zen in the mix and then also the ball, I think you just have a little bit of an advantage in like a neutral fight than having a Winston.
Chaotic gameplay here from both sides, and the subtle differences, I think, between Wrecking Ball and Winston definitely are being highlighted. Chengdu's inability to, well, scout information first of all, but spend time out in the open, as opposed to a Wrecking Ball that has better mobility, is able to return to the fight quicker, has, of course, adaptive shielding if things get messy, and the ability to pile drive opponents, lift them up, knock them up, and make them easy targets for people like BKB and Yaki. Obviously, on the flip side, he provides a pretty durable and effective nano boost outlet. Primal Rage is very powerful when it comes to that displacement effect, which is crucial when you're dealing with a Brigitte-based composition who wants to be grouped around her for, inspire healing. And there's the vulnerability of having an Ana in your composition as well, and not the Zen Discord. There's a lot to consider here, and I'm looking forward to sort of seeing this discussion continue to evolve amongst like a lot of analysts and experts here, because it fascinates me. It's a small difference, but it makes it, it definitely shows up in a big way in matchups like this.
See if they can get through the choke, right, without BKB just drilling one player. Looks like they can. And I think what they've done, the Outlaws, and where they're seeing like effects here, and like impact, is if they can get onto BQB, put pressure on him, force the Mayhem to react, and then diverge to another target. That's where I think they've seen their biggest success.
That takes a lot of good communication though, and very quick, snappy. Everyone has to be on the same page. Here's that dive. The Mayhem all react to jungle, blow him up. Not what you want for Houston. The dive is really supposed to herald the rest of your team getting involved here, but Jungle was not in a position that he could be helped in. Sloppy stuff.
Yeah. I mean, is anyone... Dante not going to be able to get a touch, so... that'll end in a pretty unspectacular fashion there. Where the Outlaws were not able to really make anything happen there on that offense. Let's see now. Yeah, what's up?
I was going to say, diving his point as Winston is hard, right? Because depending on where you dive, you're just out of line of sight of your Ana. You see Jungkook dives across the point. He tries to put himself so that on the left-hand side walk up, Crimzo would be able to see him. And also if they have the high ground. But as soon as he walks into that Snacks Ramos room, what's Crimzo going to do? Throw a biotic grenade at long range? Jungkook gets stunned after the bubble expires, so I don't think Pig even gets good charge there. And he's discorded already, so even if you're pumping your Winston with heals when you're discorded and 6 people are looking at you like, I don't know how he's supposed to stay alive. I would have thought, Matt, we would see like, the short jump to bait some aggression from Winston, and then maybe to see if we can pull someone out of position. But no, it was a full commitment there from the word go.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you where it's so difficult that if you have to dive, because the Florida Mayhem position themselves deep on like opposite sides of the point. So if you're going to dive one side of it, you're going to either put your support at risk by, having Crimzo in that vicinity, or ask him to be on the complete opposite side of the map and get some kind of line of sight as you're going into the buildings, which just isn't really possible. That's why the Wrecking Ball is great for things like that, though, because it's personal survivability, right? With adaptive shield, great mobility, able to kind of just go from pack to pack.
Mayhem just need the one tick here to secure the map win, to make it 2 in a row, and to really put the Outlaws under the thumb. But there's every possibility that this is a draw in the making. And these two teams just might make a series of this. Crimzo staying out of line of sight of Hangzhou by not leaving the bunker. Fair. I mean, you got to play safe in these circumstances. Eventually, he will be encouraged to move from that point. And Yaki notes his position now. And this is where it gets a little bit dicey. Jake able to find the whip shot on Yaki, gets a good bit of extra damage here, and Dante gets rid of BQB. The Mayhem are down to 5 players to make this attack work here. And what are they working with? They disengage briefly, but they haven't got any advantage. They've not garnered any leads here.
No, and Yaki is behind. Will get a touch here to force OT. Gets whip shot right away out of...
Jake is on edge right now, but I mean, fair enough too.
Yeah.
Dante gets himself 2 big kills in the backline. That should pretty well secure the draw here. Florida Mayhem down to 4 players, lost Gargoyle, make it 3. Yaki's pulse bomb doesn't connect, and he has not been able to do anything on this Tracer.
Ugh.
Okay,
Yeah.
much better from the Outlaws, man. They respond really well to Yaki here. He doesn't get anything done. Good turnaround and a hard-fought draw, as they say. These 2 teams look evenly matched on Blizzard World.
Yeah, the Outlaws take the fights early, make it very difficult for Florida to even get through the choke, and also make it difficult for OG and Yaki to get anything done. It was trying to access that backline constantly, but the Outlaws playing too aggressive.
Again, definitely feels like they may have improved over the course of this series so far. These 2 distinctly different compositions are fascinating when they come clashing together. I mean, that means that we're going to be heading over towards our hybrid map, escort map, and it's going to be 1 apiece here. That 5th map could still be relevant. Let's see how it all comes out in the wash on the other side of this break. Stick around, everybody, for escort. And here, of course, in this match between the 5-9 Florida Mayhem and the 10-4 Houston Outlaws, it's the former that really surprised us, I think, over, at least as this series has developed. We get a very close-fought draw there on Blizzard World as the Florida Mayhem, I mean, their DPS have been looking really good all series long. OG settles into the Wrecking Ball pretty comfortably here. Both teams start to show that they kind of know how to counter one another, right? Yaki gets pretty well shut down, right, when Matt, the Mayhem are trying to attack to sort of win Blizzard World in that 1 minute of extra time.
Yeah, and I think this series is really going to end up coming down to maps after, you know, we've kind of seen this so far. And the next map being Route 66 will be quite interesting. We've seen teams try and play Winston here. I feel like it's pretty cool, where I think the ball could be really impactful. Going into Ilios, though, towards the end, like maybe there are some points where you would favor Winston, which is really seeming like what the Outlaws have dedicated themselves to.
Right, and I mean, we're going to get that map either way. With a draw in Blizzard World, there's a potential for a 6-map series here if these next 2 maps are traded out. Now, the Florida Mayhem haven't won Route 66 here, but think back, wasn't the matchup against Eternal, Matthew? They had an excellent showing on Route 66. Like halfway through that map, they really started to look incredibly good. They had some really impressive Hangzhou plays, specifically in the last phase of the map. BKB really got the stretch legs a little bit. So, yes, they're undefeated. They don't have a win on 66 yet, but they look really good. Conversely, the Outlaws, well, they've won their only stoush on that particular map, but it's a different day, it's a different opponent. And Houston look like they're really respecting the Mayhem here as a team that is fighting desperately to get into playoffs. Now, this isn't... Now, if the Mayhem lose this game, ladies and gentlemen, they're not out of playoff contention, right? They would need to go to Hawaii. They still could go to Hawaii, and then they would need to probably win the whole thing. They would need to get max league points from there. Even as it stands, though, Matthew, if I'm not mistaken, they need at least 1 league point from Hawaii.
Yeah, I think that is the case. Realistically, they need to make it to Hawaii. That is their... Once they're in Hawaii, I think everything is kind of up for grabs for the Florida Mayhem. It's just they need to actually make it that far. Which in the Wrecking Ball type of meta, where you can play a lot of Tracer with Yaki in that role, and BQB can play like the Hanzo, the Sombra, like maybe there is a path for the Florida Mayhem. Especially if, you know, Dallas sits at 2-2 right now, right? Atlanta is still very strong. It's gonna be hard. But you know, this is one of the more open tournaments I feel like we've had.
I struggle to think of maybe a much better time also to sort of be the Florida Mayhem. A lot of these picks represent comfortable, you know, heroes for the Mayhem. BKB's always been a Hanzo aficionado, and Yaki's Tracer is a pick that doesn't need any interruption. I would say that maybe your Slimer's had to adapt and adjust to playing Brigitte, but he's looked very good over the course of this series. For the Outlaws, it's a bit of a different story. Maybe this isn't where they're as comfortable. They have to prevail, of course, and, you know, get themselves ready for a metagame in the playoffs that could look like anything.
Right. If you're the Outlaws, I feel like eventually, you know, you're going to have, like, with the way this season seems to be going, like, in the trajectory, you're going to have to be able to play some Wrecking Ball, I feel like. Where seeing them not play any of it here definitely bodes to be a little bit scary coming towards the end of the season.
Yeah, maybe they're not even thinking about Hawaii, right? Maybe they're thinking about just being their strongest in a metagame where you don't have to play Wrecking Ball. Who even knows at this point? The Outlaws still persisting with the Winston play, though, Matt, as you highlighted. BQB Sonic's there just to make sure no one's underneath him, or that happens. Piggy very deftly deploys the projected barrier over to Jungkook, keeps him alive as he falls under the scrutiny of BQB's Hanzo. Bubble also thrown up on top of Big Girls. Eventually, all of these defensive resources are going to be exhausted, though. Then the Outlaws need to be on their guard. Kart's been moving nicely, though. Jungkook trades to find a kill on Slime. Unclear if that's really worthwhile. The backline of the Mayhem looks battered and broken, but the Outlaws aren't able to press deeper.
I mean, that's how a lot of these fights look, though. Like, when you have this, like, Wrecking Ball Zen combination, a lot of the times it's like a, you know, kill trades, the Wrecking Ball's back, he's gone, now he's back again. And eventually, you know, the team with the ball usually wins. This time, though, it's the Outlaws with that spawn advantage. Looks like they're going to be able to get the cart and going to take this first checkpoint. It looks like the Mayhem going to back up.
Yeah, as quick as Wrecking Ball is, he's not going to get there in time if he's the last casualty in the previous team fight. OG didn't even think about trying to contest, and nor did the rest of the Mayhem, so that is checkpoint A, give it over. Healthy time bank for the Outlaws. Neither of these teams is, you know, playing the compositions that allow for like playing close and trying to spawn camp, you know, at the start of the map. So not a huge shock to see us heading into this phase with plenty of time on the clock. Nano Boost is here, Grab's here. The Outlaws in a position to continue snowballing.
Jungkook gets really low. So he has to jump out of the minefield, separated from the rest of the team. But the minefield's only going to be a little bit of a deterrent here. The Outlaws are going to be able to continue to move this cart. That's going to be a dragon here too.
Yeah, Jake just clears the mines and keeps moving the cart. Elsewhere, has to be Transcendence here from Guangzhou. He lays that down, so the grab gets no follow-up, and it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Except for Dante. Swoops in, finds the Pulse Bomb connection on BQB, and follows up with a kill on Slime as well. A lovely little two-piece from Dante, who's in a ridiculously strong headliner Tracer matchup against Yaki.
You also do not have to use the EMP here for the Outlaws, which is huge, because now coming out of the spawn in this closed tunnel, they're going to have to just funnel out onto the point, Florida. And if you wanted to, you could just use EMP, seal the deal. EMP plus your rally is definitely more than enough to get it done.
Happy looking for a chance here. Jungkook holds the door. Happy doesn't go for it there. Something sort of puts him off of going for the EMP.
I think he thought maybe that Gangnam Jin had the, whether it be Transcendence or they had a rally, and maybe he was trying to bait it out because he was behind them, and then he came out of the cloak, like out of the stealth, and then just immediately translocated. Probably he thought he could actually bait something out of the Florida Mayhem there, and they didn't even need it to secure the point.
I mean, I'm watching Gargoyle with 0 charge, just try and get past Jungkook in Primal Rage. They couldn't even touch at all.
Yeah.
Saving that EMP seems pretty awesome. Grab, oh, very cheeky. I love that. They use the Sonic Arrow here to get information on where the Outlaws are. They hold them in place. Yaki's able to take advantage of that, of course, by catching Piggy with a Pulse Bomb. Great coordination. That doesn't work if the surface is too thick. Well done.
Yes, a bit confused. I had known that they used the Sonic to actually see up there and see where the players were, but didn't know where the follow-up was going to come from. But it came from the Pulse Bomb from Yaki. So I think more importantly, the Mayhem actually get a fight with, right? The Outlaws just rolling through the map. Yeah, the Outlaws just rolling through the map. They needed a stop in the worst way.
Well, that dragon always seems to hurt. Yeah, at least one casualty there. Piggy can't get away from it. It's a worthwhile use of that for BQB. This is where the Florida Mayhem in their last two showings on this map have been able to bleed the most clock. That's where they look the strongest. And the Outlaws want to try and break this, right? Like, they need a pretty gainful Graviton Surge.
I need healing.
Definitely need to catch OG if they can. They don't have a lot else to really deal with the Wrecking Ball consistently.
Yeah, so yeah, it's going to be the Nano here, and it's going to be on a Jungkook, but...
Oh, he spots Yaki on the stairs!
Barely gets him.
I think Yaki blinked into the wall. I'm not sure what it was. Yaki maybe tried to join his teammates there, but a great target switch from Jungkook, man.
Yeah, and I wonder, like, Yaki didn't have a recall. I guess maybe he had, like, gone in for, like, the supports and recall to that spot, and then maybe just kind of blinked out in line of sight of Jungkook. Anyway, though, you'll have a rally in play here for the Outlaws. BQB the Dragon here, just going to try and get them off cart.
To the right-hand side actually might be a better use of it. We'll see. Force them onto the cart. Maybe that's where you can get them. Piggy grabs. Has to be a Transcendence here. There's no Pulse Bomb for Dante. So that's a great look for Gangnam Jim. That's all he had to do.
Gonna have Happy, though, with an EMP. They can just, like, stall for a little bit and then get this EMP on cart. It's in a really good time if you're the Outlaws. Oh, so who is that?
So
BQB off on his own.
Yeah, but just trying to play like a flanking angle for whatever reason, and immediately gets lit up by the Outlaws. Somehow, in his absence, the Mayhem is still able to make things happen, though. Nicely done by Gargoyle. The grab is big. And they realize they're at a big disadvantage early.
Oh, they needed the grab. If they don't grab that there, that is probably the Outlaws' securing the entire map completion. So you see Happy on your screen there, just kind of working around the backside by the truck, just waiting for his teammates to get in position.
All right. Happy has an EMP, but he's definitely wary of Slime. And also wary of trying to make sure that he gets good purchase here. That's all right, they get Countdown Gym. So the timing is, it's impossible to dodge that. Jungkook dives in, and while he's in the air, that's when you see Happy go with the EMP. Lovely stuff. This will get him right close towards the end of the map here, and they have a Primal Rage in a few moments they can probably just use to try and trap people in spawn a little longer. Dragon Strike from spawn, forces recall from Dante, who's discorded immediately. And that's why Jungkook dives. That's what that Primal's for here, Matt.
Yeah, how much longer can you stall this? As OG will come out on Roadhog, as the Primal Rage coming out. Loads of damage, though, coming out here from the Houston Outlaws. As even with that Pulse Bomb, it looks like they're going to get it over the line.
Yeah, OG gets a kill. I'm sure he's pleased about that one, but the Outlaws, they break through. Nicely done, and it's the EMP that we were wondering whether it would be that effective. Allows them to blow up Gangnam Gym instantly. He doesn't get a Transcendence for that last fight, and the Outlaws finish the map with a bit of time.
Yeah, 36 seconds. Not the largest time bank, but no, they were in a position where it actually could have been way worse. The Florida Mayhem, where the Outlaws, 2 minutes plus potentially on the clock, could have finished it.
That's what we were saying before. I mean, I think any team is well positioned to burn a lot of clock in that phase of the map. This is why Route 66 feels so long, because that is such a treacherous area. But the Mayhem in particular, I think have really looked good in that phase of the map. I think, yeah, BQB got a little cavalier there, right? I mean, things could have gone wrong if Gargoyle didn't have a Graviton Surge in that fight where BQB wraps around. I'm sure that they're saving the grab for a Grab Dragon setup. Luckily, they're still able to win a fight with just the grab on its own after BQB got caught flanking. The Outlaws, though, they're dangerous, man. You give them like an opening like that, and they'll be on top of you instantly. Their coordination, their comms just seems really streamlined.
And we haven't even really seen a lot of Grab Dragon combos. They've been basically using the Dragon to like force players into an area to try and get a kill onto somebody, and then saving the Graviton for like another type of fight, right? See what Florida decides to do. Don't think it'll be the Roadhog. Roadhog, maybe just to try and get a hook. And then, yep, we'll probably see the Wrecking Ball, yep.
Find a grenade there from long range. Gets Crimzo a little bit of extra ult percentage. More just an annoyance than anything else. So Jungkook has to play this corner. I mean, you can't do anything about Yaki right now. Yeah, he actually has to jump away. That's where he wants to stand and then sort of just tickle, then jump up and get healing. But Yaki knows this instantly. So, again, Dante isn't really confident dueling with Yaki for that space. So that's a huge real estate that the Mayhem have just claimed as they move up and try to break this big Earl's hold.
And they get a Discord on a Jungkook, and they get a stun, and they actually probably would have committed for the kill, but 3 players hit with a Biotic Grenade from Crimzo, so they have to back up Florida and get everybody healed up.
Well, how about that one? Another 3 call with it. This time the Outlaws actually in position to be more aggressive. Still no follow-up on that, but still slows the Mayhem right the heck down, and Yaki eventually gets caught there. Might have been a hack, in fact, from Happy.
Yeah, that'll be the nano boost on the jump. Oh, he gets hit so hard.
I mean, there must have been like charged orbs of destruction there from Gangnam Gym, I think. Just where does all that damage come from? It's mental. So he can't play Winston in these comps. Like, he just dies.
That's with a nano boost as well. That's not even just kind of jumping in. I mean, that's with a nano boost. That's with a.
That is so rude.
Yeah.
He just stuck a Tracer. That is serious swag from Yaki. Knew, of course, that Dante couldn't have escaped from it there. That is the ultimate gauntlet slap. You know, I can imagine. I guess they slap you with a glove when they duel you. Gauntlets, Monty Python. Either way, very rude, very annoying. Dante would be annoyed.
Yes, absolutely. EMP potentially able to come back here for the Outlaws. Rally start things off here for the Mayhem.
Dante getting loose out there against Yaki. He's able to come back and find a damn good use for the Pulse Bomb, though. That's a dunk. What a goal! Nicely done.
It's but you still hold on to that EMP. So maybe on the next kind of rollout here for the Florida Mayhem with OG coming on in. You end up trying to EMP and burn him down. And then all of a sudden you turn into a spot where the Outlaws potentially could get a point A hold.
Darky displaying his improbable proportions there as he tries to size up the Outlaws. Okay, big EMP, but Gangnan able to respond quickly enough. He can't get to Gargoyle though. Jungkook's able to punish it. Might have been a biotic grenade there from Crimzo as well as the EMP. Still, Mindful gets some value there. Jake ends up getting caught in it. And Dante's a long way away from the action. He doesn't want to use his blinks to get there because he needs it for his own safety. So he has to look on while Houston lose players en masse here. And Jake died with a rally.
Yes, that's tough because you're in a position to actually get a first point hold for Houston. Which, you know, the longer it goes, obviously the scarier it is they do have the luxury, the Outlaws, of having time on the clock and complete the map, right? But still, if you're able to get that point A hold, you take it. It's they were playing that pretty perfectly up until then.
Still, promising signs for the Outlaws. They're looking clean. That's a rally in response to Gargoyle's Graviton Surge and a trade of kills here. And Jake being the only casualty. I mean, this is a great response. That grab did nothing for the Mayhem with rally and play. I guess it's just as well that Jake was forced to save it.
Yeah,
well, maybe not. They could have got a hold on point A, but, you know.
Well, Jake rallies, and Gargoyle just throws the grab at him straight away. And he's the only one, like, in it. Like, sure, you get the rally and stop it. While that's going on, though, everybody else just dropping like flies to, you know, Dante and Jungkook.
I mean, there it is again. The classic. The Hangzhou maneuver, and Jake does his best Houdini impression and just escapes from this fresh hell that is playing Brigand to Hangzhou, I guess. EMP there from Happy. That gives Dante an easy kill on OG, which is really what the Outlaws have been looking for. Those don't come easy with this Ana and Brig setup, so they take them where they can get them.
Now, a minute 55. So you'll have the Nano here available for Jungkook. You can build up a Primal. Like, this is where Double Bubble really kind of like shines, right? It's just these Wrecking Ball comps with the Zens have just become so much more dominant. That's going to be a Nano on a Dante to keep him up.
It cancelled the pulse. I don't think he actually got to deploy it at all. Transcendence wouldn't have saved the Mayhem if that was actually a stick there. What a response from Slime. Just grown into an absolute Brigitte mastermind. And the Outlaws, oh dear, fall flat on their faces after that one.
And they would have loved to probably have that Nano for Jungkook, but you know, the grab is coming down. Maybe they mistimed like the grab with the pulse bomb type of scenario. It's you know, two times that the Outlaws have lost now where it's been a little bit more error on their part. Can they come back and attack this go? Because Gangnam Jin is still back. He's still back at that spawn.
Happy touch. That bought some time, but no, that's it. The Outlaws give it up, and all right, Matt, we're getting freaking maximum Overwatch today. None of these teams are really capable of defending whatsoever, so here we are.
Yeah, it's like the NBA. Who cares about defense?
Goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes.
All right, Piggy will die here. Just keeping himself alive longer, so it takes longer to get back in the fight. It's Gargoyle slept somewhere, I think, by that truck. There's you know, a minute 48 on the clock. I think Houston should probably try to like engage with the rally, get one of these ultimates out, whether it be the Transcendence in the grab. Then you come back with an EMP on the cart towards the end with like a Nano of your own. You're in a good spot.
Look how careful he has to be. We want to beat QB, but he's got to skirt around the edges so much he can't fully commit. He's got to dip one toe in and then just play. I mean, lovely stuff from him, understanding just how much damage he can afford to take. And there's the cleanup.
It's pretty good for the Outlaws.
One interaction that we haven't really talked about much, and I saw it just affect Happy there a moment ago. He got discorded. So even after he translocated away, he knew that the Mayhem knew exactly where he translocated to, because Discord Orb didn't expire until, you know, 2 seconds being out of line of sight of Zen. It's a small, very small interaction, but it can be significant.
I actually think they'd be
another pulse bomb!
Another pulse bomb breakup. Nice play there from Jake.
I mean, I don't know how these guys are so fast. That's it. Straight into the iris. That's what the cameraman was trying to tell us. Zoom on in there.
Whoa.
Okay,
Wait, what?
That's a Dragon Strike. The Outlaws would sooner forget I mean, they're trying to go aggressive, right? I mean, Jungkook's just moving up towards the grab, but their Dragon Strike just fends them off, gets them 2 kills. Oh, man. The Mayhem have got a chance to finish the map now, really.
Well,
the Outlaws have Primal.
Yeah, the Outlaws are actually in a pretty good spot. They'll be able to contest. They have Primal. You have the defensive spawn. You're going to get closer to a rally here as well. Jungkook jumps on top, getting Gangnam Jin low.
Dante going down early, not a great start here. Jungkook's Primal, he buys a little bit of time here. But that's about it, really. Oh, okay. Jake able to find Yaki with the whip shot. That might be a game changer. Jungkook is down, and the barrier has to get used here on OG to allow him to get away. BQB, he's dizzy. Look at him looking at every corner of the screen. Dante's trying to run rings around him, and he just gets himself onto the hacked health pack. EMP, can't ask for better timing than that. The Outlaws have fought so hard to win this map. Slime is done. Dragon Strike here. Dodged away from. On the card is BQB, but no one's going to leave him for any length of time. The Pulse Bomb helps him with that kill, and Jungkook comes out on the Wrecking Ball. A rare showing indeed. And the Outlaws, they worked so hard for the Route 66 win, and they'll be pleased to make it 2-1 in maps.
They have not made it easy on themselves at times, but there towards the end, it's Jake with a bunch of big plays on the break, right? Breaking up the Pulse Bomb from Yaki, and then actually taking Yaki out at the start of that final fight. Really big plays by Jake in on the break.
I mean, these two teams, they are neck and neck right now. Very evenly matched. Players on mid roles are really sort of able to match each other across the map in general. I think the Hangzhou from BQB has definitely been huge. The Sombra, though, that's the point of difference. That's what Happy was able to bring out there in the final moments and end the fight before it really had a chance to begin. Oh, Nelly. Okay, this match has the potential to go even further, but stick around for map number 5 here. The Outlaws looking to try and end this before it gets out of control. Well, if either of these teams have anything left in the tank after that Route 66, and oh my god, the whole bloody series prior to it, now's the time to pull it out because the Outlaws are on the cusp of winning this series in 5. The Mayhem, of course, as we head towards control, are going to be fighting to make it a 6-map affair. And look, it's not just that it's gone to 5 maps here, Matt, because sometimes you can have a lot of maps that are just really one-sided and quick. No. All these maps have gone to the maximum amount of time possible, even in some cases with extensions. This is a marathon, exhausting. And this is the Mayhem for you. They did this to the Dallas Fuel back in, I want to say, in the June Joust. Like in the Moira Lucio comps, they just like pushed them to the very limit. And that was what actually allowed them to, to come out of the gate so strong, of course, in Hawaii. I feel like that really galvanized them. Let's hope the Outlaws see this series that way as well. This is good and important practice for them now as the postseason looms, because the Mayhem are not giving an inch.
And for the Mayhem, this match is very important in terms of their overall season, right? Falling to 10 losses would be, a tough thing to kind of battle back from, right? Overall, with the standings, they would probably need some of the points in Hawaii, like you mentioned, to even give themselves a chance. Ilios will be the 5th map in the set, potentially the final. We could see, a 6 map come up. It'll be Ilios. So what's interesting about this is I think there are actually some moments and parts where you may actually want the Winston, and I think the Winston can, rival the Wrecking Ball in certain situations. And we'll see if maybe even Florida opts to go towards that.
What are those situations, though?
I think like on certain points, like I think like Well you look at, like Well is not a great point for Wrecking Ball. Like there's not really a lot of great spots to, use the movement and kind of get across. Like maybe even like see teams play a little bit more static there, like an Arisa. I think here on Ruins, I actually think Wrecking Ball is quite good. I think at like controlling the high ground, right? Being able to get on the high ground, pile drive out, and then go away with like a grapple. So I think Lighthouse is another one where I think you can run either and be okay.
So perhaps pretty fortunate map. They come up here for the Outlaws, who just don't want to play the Wrecking Ball if they can afford it. It's a map 5. It may not be the decider. Depends on what the Florida Mayhem have in store for the Outlaws here. Houston, though, will be on a pretty similar composition. They've stuck to this look, the double bubble, of course, with the Sombra Tracer. And the Mayhem, they do make a change. So it's Sombra Tracer for Florida now. Oh, it's a soft landing.
Can't go anywhere now. He gets hacked. You kind of have to play the Sombra Tracer here if you're Florida. What else would you play? Like, if you're gonna
legs,
you're gonna play, legs maybe, like free, but still, you can't play the Hangzhou, which is what we've seen from them a decent amount of the series, where Junggu gets hit with a Discord, gonna get back to the rest of the squad, stay alive, and this will be the Outlaws in control early.
So Junggu's basically playing a minigame where it's watch his health bar and make sure it doesn't dip below a certain threshold. It's like the fishing minigame in Stardew Valley. Just try and make sure it's just right. He's not even looking at his opponent half the time, just making sure he doesn't get blown up instantly. But that's a good look there for the Outlaws. It's the Mayhem, BKB and Yaki, they can't quite coordinate, or they can't really get undetected into positions to threaten Crimzo, who's building comfortably towards that first nano boost here. Look, the bio timing's pretty good, right? Gives himself a bit of extra healing, means that also any Inspire healing gets amped on him. Sleep doesn't connect, but Crimzo still seems okay. He gets a cookie given to him by Jake.
The protection for Crimzo is so good from Piggy and Jake. While they're trying to deal with Crimzo or trying to make a play for him, Junggu and Dante just go into the backline of the Florida Mayhem and get a pick and get out relatively safely. So, see, looks like they're trying to spy check maybe for Happy. They kind of have an idea he's around.
BKB down. Good looks here for the Outlaws again. Start off the series pretty strong, they did, and again here on Ilios, it looks good. This more fundamental use of their compositions in Brawl after Brawl seems to suit them. But they'll be contending with the EMP in this next fight.
they'll have a nano, like, they may be able to be the ones that push the pace, right, with a nano of their own, right, on the Chengdu, especially as they go in towards this close quarter area of Florida. And yeah, they're going to be forced to use Transcendence.
Bomb's gone. They actually got eaten up there, but Transcendence comes out regardless. Piggy's the one that actually gets the nano boost here, and not Chengdu. The ladder just gets blown up there as Yaki's able to find his way to Jake. Dante had to give up the fight for that side flank as he tried to just reciprocate. He gets the brig, but Houston overall come out a little worse for wear after getting 90%. Cheeky from Dante to win that little fight against BQB, but that'll be all it is.
Well, you do come out on the downside of that, but you do have a grab, you have EMP, and you have your Primal Rage. So Jungle will go in straight away. This will be a
Piggy can't shield.
self-destruct.
Catch OG in the grab. Worth, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, not much else to deal with the Wrecking Ball. And the Outlaws flip the point back during this fight. This is now getting a little bit dangerous for the Florida Mayhem here. Can Slime survive this? Not with the Biotic Grenade that comes in from Crimso, and he finishes the job on Gangnam Jin. He hits the backline. Crucially, he hits the players near Slime, who would have benefited from the fact that he was slapping the Winston around from the Inspire procs. Great presence of mind there for Crimso. God, he's so good to watch. A stick there on Jungu, but that's going to be it, and the Outlaws take the first round.
He has been so good on the Ana. Like, whether he has the protection from, like, a Jake or a Piggy, or just fighting off and fending for himself on the Ana, then being able to heal everybody. Like, his Biotic Grenades on Route 66 were massive, and then right there, a huge one to set Jongu up for some kills. So, like I mentioned, Well is not a good Wrecking Ball map. So what we see from the Florida Mayhem, at least hovering out thus far, is that now they will show their Winston-based composition.
All right, well, let's see how well rehearsed this particular look is from the Florida Mayhem, because the untrained observer would maybe suggest that this is less comfortable for them. But you kind of highlighted, right? Some maps just don't suit the Wrecking Ball quite as much. I would have thought that, yeah, Well would be one of those, like you mentioned. Winston is preferable. So this could be unlucky for the Mayhem to get this one here. It's random, obviously, what that second round is going to be. And they're on the Winston, Matthew. Also, this means Gangnam Jin moves to Ana, and BQB's on the McCree here, so quite a lot of difference from the Mayhem.
Yeah, and we'll see if they're able to keep BQB alive. As I'm sure the dive's going to come in on him. Two-player Biotic Grenade that hits Gangnam Jin and Slime. Gangnam Jin not able to live. Slime barely
right there
makes it out.
I was asking for that on Volskaya. You know what I said about, Jungu making like a half jump, right? You don't hit the backline entirely, but you force them out of that side room. You force the backliners to back up even further into your flankers. Jungu doesn't have to fully commit there. There's no reason to. And you set up for the rest of your team to swoop in and destroy the backline. Great looks from the Outlaws when that fight starts. And Jungu knows just exactly how far he needs to go.
And the fight is so one-sided. I mean, you see the ultimate discrepancy between some of these players. Crimso 63% to 26 on Gangnam Jin. How far Piggy is ahead of Gargoyle. It's going to bode well for the Outlaws, especially because Well is a difficult one to take back. Oh, that Biotic Grenade is so big. Do they lose Jongu first? And it's like a 4-player Biotic Grenade that just turns that.
Yep. OG almost wins the fight there, and then he puts a bubble in Piggy's way, so Crimso can't heal Jungu. Like, just the Winston bubble. I hate playing Ana into Winston for that reason. Like, the bubble means you can't heal. So great job there. Crimso still turns back around and just dominates with that bio. This guy is cracked. Oh man. And yeah, of course you see it in the chat. The yummy call comes out. Why not? I mean, feeling yourself at this point. What a monster. All right. 66 and counting. Dante, there's been BQB behind him looking for a dead eye. Dante's able to get away in time, and there's the nano for Jungu. BQB's already gone down here. The Florida Mayhem definitely look like they're being forced to play a less than comfortable composition, and Jungu's going to paint the room red.
This has been brutal for Florida. And obviously a very good map draw and point draw here for the Houston Outlaws, forcing the Florida Mayhem to kind of play their game. BQB with the switch over to Sombra. 90% on the clock. I mean, what can you get done on Sombra here? EMP Biotic Grenade from the Outlaws in the spawn of the Mayhem. It'll just be Yaki trying to force OT.
Grab it as well. I mean, the Outlaws have everything they need. Yes, I mean, Yaki was able to be on the point, but no one was there to join him. Maybe there's a chance for a cheeky flip out, but look at Jake taunting Yaki from behind the shield. He says, no, not this time, son. You've been harassing me all game, but now I get the last laugh. Primal Rage here from OG, stunned briefly there as Slime's going to come in with the rally. It's a very disjointed, oh, Florida Mayhem, look at Crimzo. Hits the sleep. Guess who's not on the point? Oh, he might actually just be on the point contesting their OG, so he needs to be woken up and moved on to a different location. This is it. This is over. The Houston Outlaws, the better team today. What grit and determination they had to show to get here, but they avoid the 6-mapper. They get it done in 5 here with a dominant showing on Ilios.
Yeah, and it turns out that their Winston composition on this last map is the one to have. And you see when they kind of get that Winston v Winston matchup, they were dominant. It's a very hard-fought series. You know, a lot of the maps and the situations, I think a lot of, you know, analysts and people in the community would definitely favor a lot of these Wrecking Balls and Yada comps, but the Outlaws play a lot of the Winston, Tracer, Sombra, and able to make it work today.
I want to suggest that matches like this go a long way for both teams, right? You get match conditions, serious, sweaty play, where you get to just take your best composition and just keep throwing it again and again and again at your opponents. For the Mayhem, again, they're not out of contention for, you know, making it into playoffs here, Matt, but their road gets a lot more circuitous. It becomes much more difficult for this team. Look, it was always going to be a big ask for them to win out and then go to Hawaii. They can still make it happen, but the Outlaws here, I mean, this is a team that impresses us greatly. They're already locked for play-ins. They're looking incredibly good so far. It's been a rough stage for them, but they bounce back. And our player of the match here, this will shock no one, I think, because you can just hear it in the tone of my voice. Player of the match is going to be Crimzo, because he's just absolutely mental. He's just a sick flex support player.
Unreal.
This is why, mate, he's BAP. He just destroyed Dallas on BAP at the start of the season. We saw his Zen as well. His Zen's also been fantastic, but the Ana is just, I love it. This guy is insane at the game.
He was huge today. I mean, the amount of just sleeps, biotic grenades, really the difference maker for the Houston Outlaws a lot of the time in a lot of these fights where they really needed somebody to turn the tide. You know, playing a composition that may not be as strong. I feel like his Ana play was definitely something that just like 5 players with that. I mean, that is just filthy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thrown in the dumpster. The dumpster is then rolled down a hill into an overflowing river, which then just takes him out to the sea.
6 sleeps per 10 minutes.
Yep. And look, a lot of them, we didn't even get to catch a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
He's being harassed by one of the best tracers in the world. You know, he and Jake have to deal with a lot of scrutiny in that backline. You know, especially even on the Zenyatta in some of these setups here. You know, I think we can start to see now why Houston are playing so much of this double bubble look, because it suits them individually so well. You know, Jungu on the Winston, fantastic. Picky looks like he's enjoying the Zarya, especially in lieu of the Sigma being available, and Crimzo can have the most outsized impact when he gets to play this Ana. The moment that the Mayhem tried to mirror this, even to remotely the same degree on that last round on Ilios, they look terrible by comparison. Houston had this comp on lock. The only question that remains is if this is a comp that works against, you know, teams that are, I think they have also figured out the meta. If there's a Wrecking Ball or a Orisa comp here that sort of deals fundamentally with what the Outlaws have. Who knows, Matt? I mean, I can't wait to see more of the Outlaws, though. They're a fun team to watch right now. And in the Mayhem arm as well, as they continue their difficult task of making play-ins. We're going to step aside to a break, and when we come back, we're going to hear from Jungu, who on the Winston had a real tough job in this series. So stick around and hear from him after the break.
Welcome to Watchpoint Post Show. We're joined now by 짱구 from Houston Outlaws. 짱구, congratulations on the win. 짱구 선수 인터뷰에 참여해주셔서 감사드립니다. 오늘 승리 너무나 축하드립니다.
네, 감사합니다.
Alright, let's jump right into the interview. So we've seen most teams either run Wrecking Ball or Orisa with D.Va in their composition in the Countdown Cup Qualifiers, but Houston mostly stuck with the double bubble composition today. What was the thought process behind running this specific comp against the Florida Mayhem? 첫 번째 질문은 요즘 이번 카운터컵 토너먼트에 들어오면서 좀 추세가 레킹볼 아니면은 오리사에다가 디바를 쓰는 조합이 많이 애용되고 좀 많이 보여졌는데 오늘 좀 다르게 휴스턴 팀은 미국에선 더블 버블이라고 하거든요. 한국에서는 이제 윈스턴 자리아 조합을 되게 오랜만에 좀 보게 되고 좀 그거를 휴스턴 팀이 계속해서 오늘 많이 사용을 하셨는데 그거에 대한 좀 특별한 이유가 있을까요?
저희가 딱히 특별한 이유 같은 건 잘 모르겠고 저도 저희가 피드백 도중에 약간 저 레킹볼 조합을 저희도 계속 하다가 좀 힘들다고 느껴서 이걸로 레킹볼 조합을 이길 수 있지 않냐 해가지고 실험을 해봤는데 생각보다 잘 통했던 게 있어서 생각보다 잘 통해서 그걸로 계속 좀 연습을 해왔던 것 같아요.
Okay. So, I mean, there's nothing really, no specific reason for running the double bubble comp. Other than that, you know, when we were scrimming, when we were practicing, we got feedbacks, and you know, we sort of our team felt that we were having difficulties with the Wrecking Ball composition, so we wanted to try out the double bubble composition. And our solution or our thought process was we probably could beat the Wrecking Ball composition with the double bubble, and we put it into practice. We were practicing and we were using with it and experimenting with it, and the short answer is yes. The answer was double bubble could beat the Wrecking Ball composition, so that is why we stuck with the double bubble composition against the Wrecking Ball composition from Florida Mayhem. All right, following that, my second question for you, 짱구, is your last match in the season, in the regular season, is up against the Los Angeles Gladiators, a team that a lot of teams consider to be one of the top teams this season. How are you preparing for your last match? 자, 두 번째 질문은 좀 더 간단한 질문입니다. 이번 휴스턴 팀의 마지막 경기가 될 이제 상대가 로스앤젤레스 글래디에이터스인데요. 마지막 경기를 위해서 지금 어떻게 준비를 하고 계신가요?
약간 이제 시즌 마지막 되니까 선수들 한 명 한 명 다 일단 예전보다 더 열심히 하고 있는 것 같고 연습도 글래디전 준비는 아직 확실하지 않지만 저도 정확히는 잘 모르겠네요. 네, 글래디전은 저희도 글래디 경기를 보고 또 이제 조합이 바뀔 수도 있고 저희도 아직 확정된 거는 잘 몰라서 저도 네.
알겠습니다. Alright, so you know, because we're gearing towards the end of the season, we're actually just really practicing really hard. We're pouring everything that we got into every scrims, every practice that we have, and you know, I can't really say how we're practicing or how we're preparing for our last match against the Gladiators, other than just we're watching a lot of their games, analyzing their gameplays, and you know, we might be switching up our compositions as well. We might not, I can't really tell you, but yes, we're just trying our best preparing for the match against the Los Angeles Gladiators. Alright, 짱구, good luck on your last match against the Gladiators. And with that being said, I'm going to end the interview. 마지막 질문 그래도 열심히 답해 주셔서 너무 감사드리고 이걸로 인터뷰를 마치도록 하겠습니다. 짱구 선수, 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다. Thank you.
Alright, thank you. Let's head back to the desk.
Oh, Danny, thank you so much. Doing a lot's work, trying to get that information.
Yeah.
Even though they're really keeping their cards close to their chest right now.
You tried.
No, I mean, you can only get so much info out. You can only get so much. But, you know, we can still just, we can do that as well. You know, we don't need no players. We can just speculate. That's what we do best here on the desk. So let's roll it back, reinforce. Let's look at that composition that we saw from the Houston Outlaws that did favor heavily, or were at least very married to their double bubble dive composition in this particular matchup. did you like that look? Like, winning aside, but do you feel like this is in fact a look which is going to work well against the ball comps out there?
Oof. I mean, that's very tough if you go up against some of the better Wrecking Balls and Yara teams we have around the league. And if your ambition is to win the Countdown Cup, then I don't think that the Winston and the Ana is going to be enough to beat some of the best teams we have, especially in the APAC region. But as for their matchup today against the Florida Mayhem, I think they proved that this is something they can lean on, and they're very comfortable playing. Crimso had an amazing game playing the Ana, the Sleep Darts, the Biotic Grenades, Django and the Winston as well had a great game. And I mean, then you have Dante and Happy as your DPS duo. Like, all around, this team is fantastic when you put this composition together. They're very comfortable playing it, especially when it comes to the momentum, like engaging, disengaging. They made it very difficult for the Florida Mayhem to be comfortable and to win some of these duels. One underrated aspect that I really appreciated about this was how Dante was able to oftentimes beat Yaki in this Tracer duel, because Happy helped him out with the hacks on the health packs, and also making sure that Yaki just couldn't flank his way around, put pressure on the Houston Outlaws backline with the help of the Discord Orb. Instead, it was Houston Outlaws who pretty much had the pressure on top of the Mayhem throughout the entire series. So I don't think I necessarily like this composition long term if you're trying to win the Countdown Cup, but if you're trying to get some wins in week 3 in the qualifier matches, this is certainly something you can bring on. A very consistent, reliable composition that we've seen throughout the entire regular season, whether it's the Dallas Fuel or Houston Outlaws here today.
Yeah, I agree. I do want to jump in on that because I think it's just comfort for them looking at this composition. Crimson on that Ana had a phenomenal match, and also Piggy on the Zarya. His Graviton Surges were getting value after value, and they just won team fights with it. I'm not sold that it's going to win them the Countdown Cup, as Johnny said, but at some point, if what you think is the best comp isn't working for you, you need to do something different. And I like this look from the Houston Outlaws, and maybe they can play with comfort to a level that it's good enough to win them the entire Countdown Cup. We saw the Shanghai Dragons do that in the June Joust, I believe it was. They just played their comfort on that Wrecking Ball, and eventually everyone else had to switch to them. So I like what the Houston Outlaws are doing right now, but they are the better team. I think just from today's match, you can look at those two teams head to head and be like, Houston is the better team. I think they are playing a little bit better, but nothing can be taken away from the Florida Mayhem. They look much improved to what we've seen from them in the last 2 tournaments.
I just want to quickly
any
add.
gloating last words?
No, I'll save it for later.
Okay, cool. Yes, Danny.
No, I just want to say, you know, although Florida did lose, I mean, I was really impressed with Kangnan Jin on Zenyatta. That bloodthirsty support. I think Doa would have been very proud.
Absolutely. Doa somewhere at home just high-fiving himself for that one. Now, we of course had another match happening today as well. It felt like a very long day, even though we only had 2 matches. Now, it was, of course, Paris going up against the Toronto Defiant, and Toronto had a really, really good start. They went up 2-0, but then Paris rallied after being down. And they came back, took it all the way to map number 5, and then completely dropped their spaghetti. Costa, what inspired and what left you with more to be desired from either team?
Alright, let me start with Toronto Defiant, because they are inspiring to me because I keep doubting them, and every time I doubt them, they just keep winning. They have had an easier schedule so far in the Countdown Cup, but they do look good. They do look like a very well-rounded team on this composition with the Wrecking Ball, with the Tracer. It is good. And they were playing against Paris Eternal, who, you know, we asked for a lot of adaptation from the Paris Eternal, and they showed it with these Orisa, the Torbjorn, these slower styles. It just wasn't very well rounded. They're essentially playing the counter comp to what Toronto Defiant are playing, but they still couldn't make it work. So Paris Eternal put together a pretty valiant comeback off the back of a whiffed Michelle grab. Like, that would have felt really bad if they went on to lose that series after Michelle pretty much had the game-winning ultimate and he just sort of threw it into orbit. So, you know, Toronto Defiant a little shaky at times. Same thing with the Paris Eternal. Not the cleanest game we've had, but still a win nonetheless for the Toronto Defiant.
It also makes me pretty surprised, I guess I should say, about the meta game going on in North America right now with these 2 matches, because Toronto Defiant, they played a lot what the Houston Outlaws played today. Not necessarily the Zenyatta as much, but the Tracer and the Sombra really went at the Paris Eternal. And we saw Hangzhou as well on this Hangzhou. That was a big reason as to why they actually won this game, or the series against the Paris Eternal. Whereas Paris Eternal, they tried to slow things down like the Florida Mayhem did earlier in the qualifiers. So it feels like overall these teams in the West are starting to figure out as well that the Sombra Tracer composition might be the recipe for success in beating some of these slower compositions. I think that's one of the reasons we didn't see the Florida Mayhem actually play as much Orisa or as much Reinhardt as they did last week. Because looking back at last week, Florida Mayhem, all their wins really came from OG playing the Reinhardt. The backline was Brig and Baptiste, and that's where they found their success. So I think Paris Eternal, based on their practice, they had similar hints that that composition was really going to work for them, like it did for Florida last week. But it's ever changing when we have hero pools. When you get some practice time each week, the meta can change, compositions can swap around. And I think Houston Outlaws and Toronto Defiant today, I think they had the better read on the meta. So when you slow things down, okay, we'll play the Tracer and the Hangzhou. Hangzhou fragged out for Toronto Defiant today. And if you go fast, well, then we'll just play the Tracer Sombra and beat you that way. So impressive stuff from the Toronto Defiant, knowing how to beat the Paris Eternal that is usually so good at flexing around.
Absolutely. It was a very well-deserved victory, and we were all wrong, which makes it double as sweet for the team and their fans. Yeah, that's right. You can come at us on Twitter. We don't care. What we do care for, though, is standings. And guess what? I have so many graphics coming your way.
Wow.
Let's kick things off with the season standings in the Western region. That's right. That's right. Anything really piquing anyone's interest here?
Well, it has to be the Paris Eternal and the Busan Uprising, right? Staying alive here now because Florida Mayhem dropped a series. So Florida, they could still get 7 league points, but because of our tiebreakers, the way it works is if you don't have enough regular season points, the league point, if you're tied, you're going to have a lower advantage there. So essentially, Florida Mayhem, they have to win now their last match this weekend. I believe it's against the LA Gladiators.
Yeah,
yes, I think so.
Yeah.
And then they have to get a second
their map
league
differential,
point.
though.
And their map differential. And they have to get another league point from the Countdown Cup, which they're now 1 and 2. So, I mean, it's messy, okay? Florida Mayhem, there's a chance. I'm telling you, there's a chance.
Let's actually take a look at that. So this is where they are in the Countdown Cup. 1 and 2. So it is still possible.
They do have
if you beat the Gladiators.
They need to 3-0 the Gladiators. Realistically, like maybe there's something where they can do it with a 2+2 map differential, but for the most part, just 3-0 the Gladiators, Florida Mayhem. It should be easy, right?
Yeah, just do that. Yeah.
So
yeah, why don't you?
Okay, 3-0 Gladiators. Yeah, seems doable, right, guys?
Why not? Why not? But it's just crazy. It's crazy to see in the overall standings a team such as the Florida Mayhem being that low. Just given the talent they have in their roster, like that just doesn't look right to me. Like that is actually just no. Like how? Like why? Anyway, those same questions I also very often have after I do my picks. That's right. So let's take a look at our predictions. Look back. How and why did we end up
There it goes.
Well,
All right.
Okay, Costa.
How are you celebrating this, Costa? How are you celebrating this?
What do you mean? I got a +1. I'm like guaranteeing myself at the top of this leaderboard. Take us to the leaderboard. Yeah, take me here. This is what I want to see. Oh, yeah. There it is. You love to see it.
It's
not
fine.
over yet,
As long
Zoe.
as I'm not last.
I believe in you,
it's not
Zoe.
over.
Yeah, so
Help
you know
me
what?
out
I gave
here.
up.
Like,
Guys, I gave up. I gave up on
yeah.
myself. I don't want to go to top. There's no way that I'm going to the top. So I just, I
you
just
can
don't
catch
want-
up to reinforce, though.
Yeah, no, of course. That's my goal.
I believe
just
in you,
don't
Zoe.
have to be
I
last.
can help you with. Will help you with your pick 'em, Zoe. If you ever need help, I'll help you get over.
I
this.
don't trust you.
Yeah. Take
trust you,
Johnny's
actually.
pick, Zoe. It's working
No,
really well for him this season.
So you can trust me, right?
Yeah, right. Listen, I don't even know why we called you the prophet anymore. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, good times.
Remember when we picked Houston over Shock?
Beginner's luck, guys. Beginner's luck.
We've all been there. We've all been there. It's a bit of fun most of the time. Now, we are going to take a very short break to revel in our victories or to question our very existence. However, we are we are going to end this show on a high note, and what better note that will be than our best of the day coming up right next.
Take me back. I'm gonna go back to when the season started.